श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। This topic of this short session is communication and implementation. To communicate anything requires three things: the speaker, the spoken to, and a voice box. A voice box which works. If speech is your means of communication, then you definitely need voice. Not only voice, you need language. If art is your means of communication, then you require that talent of that art form. So here we are looking at, as teachers, communication of what? To communicate anything. To communicate, you require a subject matter, is it not? That is a minimum for communication. Sometimes you wonder how people can go on talking without a subject matter. Somehow we have learned in our life to keep talking. Because the person is sitting next to me, I feel I have to talk. Whether I have a subject matter or not, well, people talk without subject matters. As teachers, holding a class, whether it be a class of children or adults, this is one thing a teacher cannot afford to do is learn this funny skill of talking without a subject matter. To teach, to talk, to share, I must have some subject that I have studied, that I know. I must have the love for knowledge. Unless I have love for knowledge, I can never share, I can never give without that passion behind, without the desire to share what you know. Therefore, I would say one of the basic ingredients is love for knowledge. Not only love for knowledge, love for learning. When there is a love for learning the subject matter, more and more about it, really you never get tired of being a student. You never get tired. A good teacher is one who is a good student. A good student is one who always looks for all those subtle things. Growths, of course, are visible, but those subtle certain nuances, those subtle changes, the certain differences that certain expressions make, certain usage of words makes, certain way the teacher unfolds a topic, there is a plan behind it. It is not that you just walk in and then stutter before your class. That's not a responsible teacher who has not done her homework. You have to make your lesson plan, is it not? Why? Because you have to share. If I am not ready, if I don't know what I am talking about, or if my notes that I prepared was prepared 20 years ago, the same subject, the same notes, the same class, exactly what I taught in the third class 20 years back is what I am ready for 20 years later. This kind of a teacher, really, you pray for the student, that's all you can do. Sometimes you find this in these government schools, these rural schools. It's just impossible. Our situation in education is really only Bhagavan, Goddess Saraswati alone can save us. 1,000 children in the school nearby. One government school for 74 hamlets of Anekati. Think of it. 20,000 families living in these hamlets. One government school that can accommodate up to 10 standard is all they have. 1,000 children. And these 1,000 children are handled by, guess how many teachers, including the principal? 7 of them. 7 of them. Don't ask me what you have done to help the situation. Ask me what you have not done to help the situation. If this is a situation with people like us who we feel can make some difference in society, think of the other rural areas of this country. Repeated requests, repeated appeals, repeated, written what you call, seeking requisitions, huh? Petition, right. Petitions asking for some change, something to happen. Finally, we hire the teacher and put somebody there. We start a hostel and have our cook and our warden and our own people to sit down and do some tuitions. If you don't know, you learn. Really, our cook there became a MA literature. He was so inspired to study. You ask him, Marimuthu. He was there, he has been a cook for 10 years in this Gurukulam, and then we put him there because he was one of our good cooks, to get some good meals going for the children, and then he was so inspired to study all over again. He became. But this situation really, the education system, what is it that is happening in our country? And then we blame these children. Look at the attendance of the teachers and then you blame when the children in their board exams fail. The care that we take to give our children the education they require, what is it that will take to make them love to be a student? They should have love for that subject matter. At least let them not hate the subject matter because of the way I taught. Sometimes, when you look back, some of these subjects that we never liked, mathematics is one, if there's any math teacher around here. Mathematics is one subject that as children we used to panic. Because one link missing means the whole chain breaks. Sleeping pill, of course, Michel Danino talked to you about. We have our own versions of handling the subject matter given to us. Really, if the teacher only had the love for knowledge, the love to share, and to share what is it that's going to take to share your subject matter. How are we going to handle those young minds? Those bright minds, those energetic minds, very difficult to keep them on those benches. It's easier to make them stand on the bench. Very difficult to keep them on the bench listening to you. It's not an ordinary skill. A teacher needs to equip herself or himself in this regard. Any communication requires really 3 different things minimum. One is the subject matter. I must have my subject matter must be clear to me. The what you call the voice modulation in teaching and the body language. The body language of the teacher. In these 3, there was a statistics, a research done, an experiment done to find out these 3 components that make communication effective. What do you think might be the most important element? You tell me. As teachers, what might be the most important element? Subject matter, voice modulation, body language. Subject matter, naturally. Without the subject matter, you cannot even stand there. But when from the recipient, when the what you call the statistics was seen, and this experiment was done, amazing were the results. For the people, the most important thing was body language. Body language is the most important thing. Second came voice modulation. Third came the subject matter. You really wonder, what is this? That really goes to show how we can create communication blocks by merely having a wrong posture. The stance that the teacher takes, walks in and then stands in the class to teach a lesson. This is not a stance that's going to be received very well with your student. The student will also take their own stand and see what you are going to teach. A body language, how I stand, how I dress. If all the time you're worried about your sari going all over the place and you have to keep turning it around your waist to keep it in place, or if whatever your attire is not, which just allows you to be with the knowledge, distracts you, that sometimes you are distracted with my attire. Sometimes it's okay. If I do it every third sentence, then you have to worry. And the body language includes the attire, it includes the stance, includes how you use your limbs. You cannot enter a class and then hold your hands down in attention and then teach your class. Children will also listen to you. Believe me, what you do, they will do. The body language, the more tight I am, if I have difficulty with my subject matter, do some pranayama, relax your breath. Unless I am relaxed, and I can only relax if I know my subject matter. In fact, the student always catches, is always ahead of the teacher, Even when you walk into the class, the way you walk in, the way you open your notebook, he knows what's coming in the next 40 minutes. The body language, how we stand, how we sit, how we use our limbs. I don't say you should be a dancer throwing your hands about all over the place. But nothing wrong in what you call allowing your hands to talk with your voice, with your thoughts. And so an awareness of one's own, how one uses one's form to come and take a position in class, to be relaxed enough so that your aches and pains don't bother you for those 40 minutes is important to be an effective teacher. And then the means, people to draw attention, we use all kinds of fears in children, Invoke fear in them. They've got to respect us. Punishments are always ready. If you don't listen, then this is what you get. Learning doesn't happen in fear. To learn, one must have a conducive environment. I must be able to create a conducive environment for learning, for growth, and that is not a child's responsibility, that is the teacher's responsibility. Not only body language includes eye contact, understand? Eye contact. We give speeches, Enter a class of 20 children and then we talk as if we are addressing, some crowds, lakhs are standing before you. History teacher talking about the history of India. Hey, the kids are sitting here in front. But the speech is as though because this teacher is a big orator. She used to be a politician, of course. And so she only knows how to address masses. And the child wonders, where is the teacher looking? Who's standing behind him? Because they are right there in front, they require eye contact. In fact, nothing talks like the way eyes talk, eyes communicate. This is the only part of the body where the sentiency of the person shines. The thoughts shine through. Where else does it shine through? Through your nose? How else do what you think come across? If not, but through the eyes. And therefore, eye contact must be an important element in my what you call body language. Eye contact. Of course, we make eye contact. With whom? One student. The first row. His teacher is so afraid if she looks at everybody, she'll forget her thought flow. So she has just learned from the Purna Vidya camp, eye contact is very important, and therefore she makes such an eye contact, the poor child cannot even blink because the teacher is staring at You scare the hell out of the children with your eye contact, big eyes. He will be listening to you all right. Frozen he is. Eye contact is not with one student, it's with the class. With all in the class. In fact, my brahmacharis are really, I am afraid of them, because if in one class, one person if I miss, suppose my eyes travelled this way and then came back. And if it went this way and came back. Third time it went this way, I will see steam coming out from that. Because how can you make eye contact to everybody except me? And therefore, only goes to show how important it is to meet the person in the eye. That is where the knowledge comes out through your thoughts, what you think. Imagine if the children were not to look at you. I can't imagine an audience before me who doesn't even look at my face. Sometimes when my brahmacharis are fighting with me, you know what they do? They don't look up at all. And I wait for that by mistake he may raise his hand. By mistake if he raises his hand, I will catch his attention. But of course he is annoyed for some reason and so his head is down. What does that mean? That means communication has blocked. It's very obvious. Minus eye contact, he puts his head down because he doesn't want to listen to you. Then why are you there? Because he had no choice. If he was not there, he would be out of the ashram, and therefore he comes and sits there in the class. He is not going to allow communication to happen, and he makes sure he blocks it. How? By blocking the eye contact. Understand? Eye contact is really very, very essential in communication. Am I right? And therefore we need to learn. We need to learn. If we are committed to communicate, we need to learn. Hey, what is it that's going to take for me to draw these few little tips, these few little shifts in my teaching methodology? If I can only take into account, it will go a long way in really being a good communicator. Body language, eye contact, voice quality, voice intonations. Voice, well, you can't do much with the voice that you have been given. But your throw of voice, the pitch in which you talk, the expressions. Well, before voice, one more thing is the expressions. You cannot be blank face all the time. You take up a lesson. There was once a baby goat who had lost his parents. One day when the lion was searching for food in the jungle, he saw the goat was looking very lost. Seeing the goat looking very lost, the lion also felt very lost. We are all very lost. It's not going to take much for you to lose your child's attention. If there is no involvement of the teacher with the class, with the subject matter, your involvement is not that you have to do any natyam or drama, theatre, art you have to learn, but the involvement with the subject matter. There has got to be that identification with the subject matter in order for expressions to come on the face. Well, that's for your body language. Let's see what the voice does. The voice, if there isn't enough throw of a voice, good teacher, one day when the lion was sitting with the food in the jungle, he saw that the goat was looking very, very lost. What is this? Where is the throw of the voice? It cannot drop right under your nose, the words just fall. For it to get across, the mouth should open. You cannot murmur in teaching, one has to learn to open the mouth. It's okay, your teeth won't fall out, don't worry, not yet. I cannot afford to be so conscious of my what you call, of my ways. I'm committed to teaching, to being a communicator, and therefore I've got to learn how to speak, to throw the voice. And she throws the voice so high that the shrilling, sometimes the female voice can really pierce not only the ear, right into the heart, stomach, it goes all the way. Shrieking voice. Well, let us learn to understand the range of our voice. There is a bass tone. There is a rising up. There is a movement in, not that you have to be a musician for this. But then, well, you know what it is. I don't know what else to do but to just let us learn how to be aware of our own voices, how we throw our voice, the tone of the voice, the volume in which we talk, and of course, a very important element, the speed. There was one space you go to which I told you. Monday morning, lion when you search for the food at the delivery, the goat was okay, what it was. But then you know what happened? The child is busy after a while. Who lost whom? The lion lost the which goat? The goat lost the lion. Who was searching for what? It's all happened too fast. Really, the speed in which we talk, the tone in which we talk, the volume in which we talk, the range that we use, the throw of our voice, all this goes to make what we call voice modulation. The body language, the voice modulation, and of course the subject matter. Subject matter is very important, that I know what I am going to teach. Try going to a class which you have not prepared for. There is no teacher who never found himself or herself in such a situation. You meant well, of course. You wanted to go prepared, but you were not prepared. At least you can go and say, I didn't prepare today. Let us sing a song or do something. But when you go with your last minute preparation, when you are sitting in the, what is that, the teacher's room, lounge, teacher's lounge, staff lounge, staff restroom, staff lounge, you sit there, you think you still have 10 minutes before you I'll just prepare, I'll make sure this algebraic sum has always been a problem, but let me see, I think I will pull it through. After all, my children are dumb anyway, they don't understand. Your children are dumb, they are after all whose children? Who are you going to blame for that? If they are unable to ask you questions, is it their fault or you are doing? And this teacher goes last minute, she has finally got the calculation right. She started from the first step and then went down, 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 and then never know. There are always areas, this happens all the time. Rupa Siddhi. Talk, you wonder, people ask me, Amma, 3 years your hair has become all grey. How come? You had such black hair. Now you know why I keep covering it. It is all trying to do these Rupa Siddhis. All these calculations, how to arrive at a word from a root, using appropriate steps. If really, whatever hair is left, if it does not turn grey, the rest have gone anyway. And this teacher comes last minute prepared with her equation. Finally in the preparation, somehow or the other, She arrived at the right answer in the staff room. She said, this is it, I should not lose this moment. Let me somehow finish this class. The bell rings, she goes. Remember, she has just finalized what that whole lesson is all about. And therefore there is no time left for any body language and eye contact or anything. Straight she goes into the classroom. And then, okay, come on children, let us begin the class because we don't have much time left. There is a very important sum we have to cover. And she is ready because the thoughts have started to work. The first step, she already has it in front of her eyes. And so she turns and then starts writing. Okay, you all take down the notes. And she writes down the first step, the second step. And then if you do this, then you see in the next stage in this is where you end up. And then with this, the third stage, you end up. Teacher, don't disturb me. And she goes in response to that answer, that whole line the thoughts are flowing in a certain manner, it cannot afford to go through any disturbance. And they were, be quiet. And they all quietened down. They decided, this is it. We will quieten down. And she went on and on because she cannot stop. If she stops, she'll get into trouble, and there's always some Brahaspati Shishya there sitting who will create the problem, and therefore she doesn't stop. She keeps going, and finally, about 35 minutes have gone by. She has made it. She's come out a winner. She got the whole thing right. What a joy. And she turns around. They listen to you. You said keep quiet. Part of keeping quiet is silencing the mind also. And therefore they did exactly what you said. Nobody is there available for you. Minus eye contact, minus body language, minus this capacity to see, to hear, to share. Well, if I'm not able to do what is missing in my learning? Maybe I need to work harder. And this is another thing we do, I'll tell you tomorrow. The child asks a question, yeah, I'll tell you tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow never comes. Child waits, because he is stuck. There is a gap between the first step and the second step. There is a big gap in between. Comes back next day hoping it will get connected. But well, she said tomorrow, Yesterday she told tomorrow. Tomorrow has not come. Again today, not tomorrow. The teacher forgets. Remember, teacher may forget, not the child. Not the child. Because that gap continued. That hole there that was created is always going to pinch that child. And the child's trust in you, you have opened it up for erosion. Next time he asks something and you say, I'll tell you tomorrow, he knows better. He knows what's coming or not coming. And therefore to invoke, to really communicate, I have to be able to enjoy the trust of a child. Trust of a child, trust of my student. And for that we work, of course. I don't say we don't commit our mistakes. But who said we were infallible in these issues? There are mistakes that will happen, but then a teacher must have the honesty to say I was wrong. Must have the honesty to say I didn't look into this. I am sorry I made a mistake. I think I need to re-look at the whole thing. One should be able to say that if one is committed to knowledge. It is not a matter of ahankara here, it is a matter of knowledge. Knowledge of what is. It is nothing got to do with the individual. And therefore, I remain, if I have that love for teaching, the desire to share, then I have no choice but to learn. Learn, learn and relearn. Relearn and keep learning with your patience, with your creativity. The more I am committed to communication, the more I will look for new methods to communicate. Is it not true? How best I can teach this? What can I do for that? I look for methods of communication. In fact, our Shastras even help us in methods of teaching. Talks about how to communicate. Simhavalokana Nyaya is a Nyaya used. Is Simha a lioness? When she catches her prey and she is headed towards the den, she is headed all right but not blindly, she looks around, looking back to see nobody is following. Most 10 steps ahead but makes sure nobody is following, she keeps proceeding. When a teacher moves along in a subject matter, it is a responsibility to have Simhavalokana Nyaya. Means what? Make sure nobody is following. Look back and see if they are with you. You proceed in your subject matter, but now and then see that they are with you. That's why it's always important when you start a class, you always recapitulate what has happened before. At least if not for the student's sake, for your own sake. So you know where you left off, where you have to pick up. Otherwise you end somewhere, next day start somewhere else. And the student struggles to put 2 plus 2 together. In fact, 2 plus 3 together can't reach at 4. Because the connections were not made proper. And therefore, this looking back, being able to bring back in a capsular form what has been done, so that from this point let us proceed. Next year what was covered before, again 2 minutes it takes to just recall and then proceed. We are given a number of Nyayas. Sthula Arundhati Nyaya is another one, where you go from the gross to the subtle. When you want to point out this Arundhati star, she stays with Vashishta. In fact, today they say it is one star. Very close, she is always with the Vashishta star, this Arundhati. And in this vast sky filled with stars, millions of them, you want to point out to your friend, who is Arundhati? In fact, you are supposed to see in marriage, right? Arundhati Darshanam or something, you have a ritual. When? Daytime. That's why they never learned to be Arundhati to Vashishta like. Because daytime we never saw how she is always wedded to him. Daytime. But the process of identifying, okay, in the ritual it was not identified. Night comes, he wants to show you where is Arundhati. To show you where is Arundhati, what does he do? He looks for the brightest star in the sky that night. Because how is he going to reach Arundhati? And he shows you, points out the one there in the western sky. At 45 degrees, he says, look there. She looks. Oh, is that Arundhati? No. That is not Arundhati. Do you see that star? Yes, I see. Where is Arundhati? Oh, she is obedient, at least first day she is obedient. She looks at the right direction. He is not pointed out the right star and says, now you look left. You look left to that star. Do you see that group of stars? Yes, I do. Is that Arundhati? That is not Arundhati. She wonders, who have I married? Is this going to be the story of my life? But give him time, be patient. He is trying to take you from grosser to the subtle. To reach the subtlest, you cannot simply attack the final step. You have got to carry a person through and through in a manner until you approach those stars, you approach the Saptarishis. You see that quadrangle, you see the tail. You see that bright star, and then he says, she asks, is that the one? Keep looking at that bright star, he says. You will find Arundhati. She stares, gazes into that star. She cannot but see Arundhati shine. This method of moving from the gross to the subtle is Sthula Arundhati Nyaya. When I teach a subject matter, I take these tools. Shakha Chandra Nyaya is another Nyaya, where you want to point out this what you call, that silver line that is there after Amavasya. That one thin line of the moon that has shown up, and your friend wants you to see that. How beautiful is that necklace in the sky? And he says, look, and you say, where? He says, there, where? There. You look there, all you see is a tree, you don't see anything else. Because it is not as visible. But then how is he going to make it visible from the invisible? How is he going to make it visible? Well, he takes you into the tree, takes you to the branch. He says, hey, do you see this branch? Branch of the tree I see, but what has that got to do with the necklace in the sky? Well, from this known, you will soon jump to the unknown. Do you see that other branch which the two of them make a fork? Yes, I do. Now look between the two. This is from the known to the unknown. Look between the two. You cannot miss that silver lining. Thus different methods are talked about. Sthanu Nikanana Nyaya is another one, where you put this sthanu, this pole, and this person has placed this pole, well, let us say a electrical post he has placed, and then made it firm, packed in the man, everything is all set. And then what? Once it's all pakka, what does he do? He shakes it. Hey, why do you shake it once you have made it firm the ground? I am shaking it to see that it doesn't shake. Then leave it alone? No, it has to be shaken. Because when you try to shake it and it does shake, some more packing is to be done. When you teach, when you ask one or two questions, only then you know how much has gone in. That's why we don't ask questions. We do our teaching and we disappear. We say we have no time. Because otherwise we have to sit and answer questions. What if I myself don't know? All I say is, these are the methods, some of the methods, just a glimpse into what the tradition has to give you. In knowing methodology, there is a method in which I proceed no matter what subject matter I take up. Well, body language, voice modulation, and the subject matter. What I just did was Simhavalokana Nyaya. It took you back to recapitulate what we have just covered. A few tips, if this can help you. Some of these principles I worked very hard for things to work for me in teaching. I know there is still a lot more I need to learn. Only more and more you teach, more and more you understand what it takes to teach. Nothing wrong, life is ahead of us. Creativity, sky is the limit if we only have the commitment and love to share what we know. Then ideas come, you keep reshuffling your method, your style. In fact, my students tell me, Amma, you know how you used to teach, now how you teach, there is a big difference between what you did before and what you do now. Then I tell them, I think I have grown in my teaching skill. Then of course they say, no, I think we have grown. We didn't understand you before. Either way, both of us know what we are talking about. I have to take care of my part, they have to take care of their part. That's how we help each other in growth, the teacher and the taught. Nothing wrong because you are committed to jnanam, they are committed to jnanam. What is wrong if together we evolve the system, we evolve a process? I have no problem in that. When we began to write Purna Vidya, how do I know what the children want? I never had any children. I never got married. I have to say this, otherwise you will think, you were married without children, you will ask me. Never had children because I never married and then I never had what you call these modern life kind of things. So I was not one of those parents who didn't have a father and so on, that Gadabuda Bhagavan saved our lives from. I'm ever grateful to him for that. Well, but then how do I know what the children need? You know, all that I did, my commitment was to ask them, hey, what is it that you need? You tell me. How do you think this can be communicated to you? I have sat with my students for hundreds of hours, asking them to evolve the games that they want at different age groups. It's not something I did. They did it for me, really speaking. I had only one quality, I am a good listener. If somebody says something and it makes sense, I am the first one to reshuffle my thoughts. But it should make sense. I am open to that. Children taught me how to create games for their books. The Staten Island group of kids, my first set of kids, more than 100 of them were with me. They were the ones who were instrumental in bringing about all these games that you see in the program. That is why it works, you know. It works because it is hands-on with them material. Time came when teaching tools were required. Yes, I had learned certain things from my teachers, but then I knew how I could communicate, but then I didn't know how to make the teachers communicate what I communicate. For that, there was a different dimension of help needed. They all trusted me. Many schools took up the program. But once they took it up and they were using, and some of these feedback I would get, I would feel so badly. What is it I have put them through? What is it I can do to improve the situation? I would ask. And I also knew this is not my cup of tea. I don't have the tools to see what a school teacher requires. And I never hesitated to ask school teachers. That is how Arsha Vidya Mandir was instrumental. The principal and her teachers, they were all instrumental in coming here, sitting with me, spending days, trying to tell me, Amma, this will work, this will not work, this is not how the teachers can understand. We've got to give these systems, we've got to provide such and such tools. In fact, they taught me how to teach teachers, school teachers. What is wrong in that? After all, it is all we are committed to is sharing what we know, is it not? Whoever can contribute, add to that process, what is wrong in taking it up? It is no personal individual's doing. It is Bhagwan's knowledge anyway. And it is people, it's people's work, it is a work, it is a heritage, it is a heritage of this sampradaya. It is not your heritage or my heritage or Pujya Swami Dayanand Saraswati's heritage. It is a heritage of this great tradition. And therefore any of us who can contribute to improve, to make things more palatable for others, you are welcome. You are part of this Mahayagna, the Purna Vidya Yagna. Well, we need to today sit down and seriously look at what is it we can do to implement this. What is it we can do to get it across to people? I look at it in terms of two approaches. If you have better ideas, you can add, please do so. One is into the school systems, in education institutions, because they are the best sources of, really at a time you have thousands of children in a school. India has no dearth of children anywhere. But in a school system, you are able to access an institution of knowledge, of learning. And therefore, through schools, we thought it would be the most effective way of, if we can only convince managements, it is the quickest way of this outreach. That's how we started our work with schools. Today we have hundreds of them. This year in Andhra, 150 schools, new schools are starting. We've already had more than 200 schools, understand, around the country. This is not touching upon the work done in the communities. Community classes is another dimension to Purna Vidya. That is something we can all take up. You don't need to be a school teacher to teach Purna Vidya. You just need to be a child of this soil. Anywhere you can start classes. In your home you can start classes. With your grandchildren you can start classes. In your community, in your neighborhood, in your temples, in cultural institutions. In fact, outside the country, in other parts of the world, that's exactly how people are using this program. In community centers, in temples, in families, in homes. Don't tell me I don't know what is what. Then learn. Answer is simple. Did you know what is parenting when you walked into it? Did you know what it will take to be a patni before you became a patni? In life you always enter the situation and then learn how to rise to what responsibility you have taken up. You do not know is no excuse. If I don't know, the answer is, well, learn. Material is available, everything is given. One can reach the communities in phenomenal ways. Really, as I say, if every one of us make this commitment to take it up, we can create such waves, a cultural reformation in our country, because we don't lack numbers. We only lack little insights here and there, proper direction, somebody to facilitate, somebody to tell us what we need to do, somebody who knows, somebody who has been through the process. People will come together, people will want to do. Isn't every heart of yours today at the end of these 4 days want to do something about this? You better say yes. Otherwise you are in trouble, you are not leaving this Gurukulam. We want to contribute, we want to participate. That's exactly what happens when you know the truth, when you discover how much is given, how much we have with us. Who will not want to own it up? We would be dumb not wanting to own it up. And therefore every one of us can be really a teacher of Purna Vidya in the communities. Of course, education institutions are available. Talking to them, convincing them. I find there is a really a structure within which, if we can work, we are most effective in implementing in schools. I have found over the years, maybe some of you can help bring in other schools. June your school year begins. By July the schools are ready to implement Purna Vidya. From July they are ready to take it up to February, March, I think. Once the exams, the finals days are, they come closer, then they want to close the lessons. Fine. Even if 8 months, 9 months of the year you can continue weekly classes, nothing like it. And in order to bring in new schools, to bring an awareness, over the years we found time between October and February are the best months to conduct management seminars, to conduct camps, to conduct programs. Because once the new academic year has settled in, the first term is over, management is open to looking for new ideas, certain creativity, whatever else. From about October down, they are ready to listen to you. And therefore go talk to them, meet schools. The best way I find is talk to management. Ultimately they are the deciding body of a school. People always tell me, oh, my camp is successful because 100 teachers attended, 50 teachers attended. Teachers attending is the easiest thing. Easiest thing because they are teachers, they are students of knowledge. Them enjoying a camp is no big compliment, because if you are a good teacher, they will enjoy clarity. They want to learn, but whether they will be able to go back and implement depends on if management has been convinced. And therefore, to introduce the program in a new school, make sure you talk to the management. In fact, I always suggest, if we can put in some good organized efforts, we can have about half a dozen schools, a dozen schools together. Management comes together for a morning, for a talk session, where you can present what is Purna Vidya, show the books, maybe present a promotional CD, talk to them. Once they are convinced that in that morning management seminar, well, don't let them go without clinching a date for a training camp. Follow it up soon with a training camp. All of them will send their teachers, and once they are convinced with this seminar, then it won't take much for them to make sure it is implemented. October to February is that period in the education institutions in India where one can do wonders with this program in its outreach in schools. It is important we reach new schools, I would even say by December. Because then that's when around January the book list has to be prepared. Am I right? In preparation of the book list, if Purna Vidya can enter, then it will be easy for the school to have the children buy the books. All they need to do is buy the textbook, the top level, not all of them, one book per year. That's less than 50 rupees per year. It's nothing, it's peanuts. Highly subsidized is this program. Not meant for a money-making, what you call work this is. It is our rinam being cleared to our rishis. It's our cultural heritage being shared. And therefore one requires to make sure one does it, plans it well, put it into the book list by before January. Make sure you inform, the school informs the publishing house in Chennai, Shastra Prakashika Trust. They know early enough so that if you're going to have 3,000 children buying these books, then they've got to have the books ready for when you want them. Once you decide it's gone into the book list, send the information, the details to the publishing house. They will print adequate books for you and send it across. There is a whole big institution at works. Let us all be part of it intelligently, planning it well. And I'm sure in no time you will see all over the country, in all languages, I see this coming. Not because of anything else except that we have no choice. We are really looking for answers and genuine answers. Answers which throw clarity on our lives. And with the vision of a Mahatma with us, blessing of a saint with us, I don't see how we could go wrong in this. I'm sure it will snowball. In fact, it has already taken off. A snowballing effect I see already. It is way beyond an individual, and I'm sure all of you, every one of you will be part of this Mahayagna of Purna Vidya. And with this, I conclude. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.